What are some weird real estate questions you get asked when you're working with real estate agents? Because I know one that I get asked, and it's weird. I think it's because I'm a car guy. Is I get asked, "What is the right car for a real estate agent?" And it's a really weird. It seems like such an easy answer, but it's actually really, really complex when you think about it. To me,
What I think, I've never been a real estate agent.
okay, I have.
There are two types of cars I would pick as a real estate agent.
Okay,
Okay, there's two mindsets maybe.
right.
There's perception
Yep.
and there's logic.
Yes.
If I want to be if I want to be a real estate agent, that makes the most sense of like generating like a kind of class
Yeah.
of like who I am. I guess you buy the Mercedes.
Right.
But if I want to be logical and like what makes the most sense, if I'm a real estate agent selling the Dave Ramsey idea, I'm buying a Prius.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right?
Because think about it. So it's like when we're making our videos and stuff, right? So what is the image you want to portray? But who is your audience? Like, who are you going after?
Yes.
So if you're talking about really expensive, really professional, what I call that Lamborghini, like they need to trade in the Lamborghini every 8 months because the new one has a new stripe on it, the old one doesn't. Then I think, yeah, you want to go with the more expensive car.
But do you start out
But
saying, "Hey, wait, you're gonna say, I said I'm a real estate agent luxury. I'm starting. I got my license today. I'm gonna go get a lease on a G wagon."
no, I don't
Okay.
think so, right? And also in this market right now is when you roll up with the fancy car and the watches and the accessories, are you putting off an image that may not be right for that person? Like I think the Honda Accord, the Camry, I think those are sensible and smart cars for most real estate.
It is used to real estate agents still people with them.
Yes. Yep.
They don't do that anymore,
No, they don't.
right? Most
Yeah.
homes are sold through pictures online anyway, but you're
And with
meeting
the
them there.
virus that we had not too long ago, like people just drive their own cars.
I'll meet you there.
I'll meet you there.
All right. And so, but it is a perception. If I see an agent, okay, I'll give you an example. I bought my first house.
Okay.
The lady that showed us, and I can't tell you the name of the real estate agent because I don't remember her name.
Okay.
And
She did a good job of follow up.
she did.
Excellent.
And I think I maybe got a couple of like ranger schedules for a year.
Okay.
But again, her car cost more than the house that we bought.
Yes.
And we got to ride around in it, and it was like we were so distracted by the car being like, this is super fancy. Then we go into the home, and it's like, to her, it was like, saying
Yep.
like, and but to us, we are like, oh, we'll take it. And she's like, well, it's not something that I would live in, but
Yeah.
because
This is beneath me.
right. So like,
it's less than my car.
so are you running in your audience? And which audience has the most benefit to you? If I'm going to sell one home a year,
Yep.
that's $3 million or up, then I'm
Then-
going to really need to be in that Mercedes,
Right.
Benz, or BMW or whatever it is, like
Yes.
whatever the new thing is. And I'm a car guy too, so I'm going to buy the BMW. But if you're going to be like, I need to sell 3 or 4 homes a year, even if they're $1 million,
Yeah.
a Tahoe is going to work.
Right. And you know, it's funny. It used to be size. Like you need to have something big, carry all the family and all the kids.
Yeah.
But now, like you said, most people are following you
Yes.
somewhere.
I know an agent that they have a Kia that they use for work, for their real estate business.
Yep.
They also own a Mercedes that sits in the garage.
Yes. Yep.
It's like, it's a G-Wagon, and it gets like 8 miles per gallon. So they like, it's my car, and then this is my work car. I think a lot of people might be going to that like dual purpose. Like, hey, this is for me,
Yes.
and this is for work.
Yep. Well, and it's kind of like me. Do I wear boots to this appointment, or should
Yeah.
I wear Kohans to this appointment? Like,
You always wear
the
boots.
audience.
Always wear boots.
Boots are always safe. I think I can always wear boots.
This
But
is
you
in Texas.
do-
You always wear boots.
But you do kind of think about it. So car-wise, I'm like, one, what's comfortable within your budget,
Yeah.
and usually my best answer is a clean one. Like, it needs
Yeah.
to be clean. Like, get one of those monthly like subscription car wash places.
And
so
you can
clean it.
negotiate those. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I had a guy tell me just recently he had one that was $20 a month, and he said, I said, man, it was just kind of expensive. You don't use it. He goes, I negotiated mine down, and I gave him a credit card, and they bill them, and it's $6 a month. Went from $20 to $6 a month. And
Yeah,
just
I need
auto
to,
drafts for $6. I didn't know you can negotiate.
I need to
those
check on that
things.
because I pay way more than that. Because
Right.
I think a clean car, the perception of a good, nice, clean car inside and out, even though they may not get into
Right.
the car, but I think that's super
So, and I
important.
told an
So,
agent that it was brand new once, and she had a Volkswagen Jetta. She said,
okay.
"I need to get a new car." I said, "Here's what you probably should do. You're real estate. You should go get a clean car.
Yes.
Get it waxed. Get the headlights polished, and get the interior clean, and keep it clean. Keep it organized."
Yes.
I don't necessarily think that you need a new car versus a clean car,
No.
because I don't think we should spend money before we get it. Like,
I'm totally agree
right?
with
It's
that.
like
Like,
let's
don't go
see.
buy something so inexpensive you can't sell $1 million.
Yeah.
But if you do something sensible in the middle,
Right, and if anyone asks, why are you just driving a Jetta? And you say, I like diesel. I like this.
Yeah.
Why do you have a Tahoe and not this one? I have a whole family I got soccer games on the weekends or whatever. But
Yes.
I think that also there's the aspect of tax deductions. Certain weighted vehicles.
you get it. That's why
can be
Hummers,
taxed.
when Hummers came around, those exploded in the
That's
real
like
estate
G
world.
wagons and
Yeah.
Land Rovers are heavy cars, and they meet the requirements of that. I
Yeah,
don't know
that's true.
tax specifics.
Yeah,
But I know heavy cars do that. I know 6-foot beds on trucks do well.
Yes.
So talk to your tax guy about what's important for you. But there aren't many people. I say one. The other aspect is, what are you going to be comfortable driving all day?
Absolutely.
Like, am I
You're
going to be
spending more
sick of it?
time in it than anybody else.
Right.
And
What would you buy?
think about it. I'm a weird person because I love microcars, like smart cars and little cars, like the Fiat 500s, and I'm like, those really aren't
Yeah.
great real estate cars. And what impression are they giving? Unless I have one caveat to that: if you wrap your car, it doesn't matter what
It
you're
doesn't
driving.
matter what it is.
Now
You go.
you could go get a van, a minivan that gives you much more billboard space. I think if you wrap your car, no one pays attention that it's a Honda or a Mercedes. I don't know who's wrapping the Mercedes with
think
their
it-
face all over it, but I think the wrap makes it different.
And-
We know an agent who
Unless
wraps.
it's a minivan. No,
Yeah.
a minivan. I'd drive a minivan. I'd sport a minivan.
The thing about the minivan, when you wrap it, it gives you much more like
You have more
space.
space. You get a lot of signs in it.
A lot of signs in it. So I'm almost like buy something a little more practical and wrap it. It doesn't have to be all real estate. You could get it wrapped with some cool colors and
If it were me,
that.
I would buy a heavy duty truck,
Truck. Yeah.
and I just think that serves my purpose. Is my intentions as a real estate agent down the road would be to be showing land properties, right?
Right.
Would be doing those things. So I'm like,
Yeah.
if I were buying something new, it would be a Ram truck, and it would fit in the tax deduction. It would be something I would feel like I could drive every day. I
Yeah.
could go to the grocery store, or I could go take a client seeing 500 acres,
No, absolutely.
and
sure.
that would be. And
But
it's
that's thinking about where you're wanting to go, right?
and that's the perception. You're going to show a guy that's driving a dually. You're going to show up in your Prius. He's going to be like,
Yeah.
you have
My star car. That's exactly right. I think most people don't is. Okay, so in sales, I talk about driving 4,000 miles a month, 3,500, 4,000 miles a month. So how many miles are you putting on the car? What can you afford? What is the depreciation of that car? And that's why I'm like, I think it's almost better to stay with like a Ford Explorer, Toyota Camry, something in that middle 40-ish,
yeah. I would say
50-ish range.
in the beginning, you stay with what you own.
Yeah.
And you cash a few checks, and then you start deciding, like, hey, my driving factor needs to up.
Yeah.
Like, I need something reliable. If it's breaking down on you and doing those things, and I would say just throw warranties out. You're going to drive so much.
You're going to kill the warranty and you're going to kill the
It's
value
like,
of the car for the most part.
So just look at something that's reliable. I would think that most people lean towards a certain imported products.
Yep.
Or certain domestic diesel products
Agreed.
would be in that realm. So drive what you have until it just doesn't sustain fixing versus buying.
I think Genesis has come a long way. Like now they're $85,000 for their top, but I mean,
I think
if you're going luxury, what are we talking about? Range Rover, Mercedes, BMW. That's probably like that's probably where you need to be if you're going luxury,
I
right?
think so.
I mean, I don't know how many agents are showing up in Bottegas or
Sports
Uruses
cars
or something like that.
Sports
That's kinda
cars are probably just I don't know.
It would be hard. It would be tough. It definitely puts off a different vibe.
Listen, why did you get into real estate? We know a guy got into real estate. He already drives a brand new C8 Corvette.
Okay.
He gets into real estate. His vibe and his circle, his sphere is different.
Right.
Right? And he didn't need the money to get into real estate. But I would venture to say that most people get into real estate because they have dreams,
right,
aspirations, goals.
Agreed.
To be at that level.
Yes.
So don't start living that level first.
Right.
Start being the best of what you are now, and then you'll be in that area, right? So
yeah,
I think
I agree with that.
Most people always say that, like,
how you doing?
So going from this, like, nothing to something. All right.
Uh-huh.
So this is the problem. People don't give the full recipe on where they've been.
Right.
Like, what's
the story,
success?
the real story.
What's the real story?
Right.
Like, I'm gonna make, my grandmother gives me a cookie recipe, but she was a craftsman in that thing. Like, yeah, I know I said tablespoon, but I meant half a cup.
Yeah.
Of butter, and that's why it tastes so good. But when I use a tablespoon, it doesn't taste the same. Well, her idea is different, right? So that whole recipe, I think, is missing from a lot of the success stories where we listen to people.
I like the stories. Like, I want to hear the stories.
Right. I have stories of myself. People like, how did you get to where you're at? And I tell them, I said, but I can't tell you the whole thing because there's some things that are just, they might be private.
Right.
They might be, I forgot. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that time that we had nothing. And this is where, but I was still like at the grind. And when people say, what's your recipe? Grind.
Yeah.
You just work hard. But I want to, like, how did you do it? And like, hey, you find out that someone like was sleeping in their car for a year.
Right.
Like Steve Harvey, right? Does that story. Like, hey, where was he at? He went from here, he was living in his car, going to this club. Then he hit it big.
Yep.
He put in that story. A lot of people don't want to do that.
No.
Right? The hard part is the difficult part. I don't want to do the hard part.
Right.
You have to do that part.
No, you absolutely, you have to.
Right. So when you take the recipe out, that part of the recipe out, people get an idea of like,
dude, thank you, man. Yeah. So
anyway,
the story, I think the story, I'm not going to judge you negatively because of your story. That maybe you started rough and then you got here.
Let me ask you this. Coaching people. When the people coach, and there's the coaches that are nationally, they have backgrounds. They rarely give their background.
Sure.
The details.
Yeah.
Then if the story is important, why don't coaches who help people be successful why don't they give them?
Well, sometimes maybe they don't have the story. Sometimes it was easier.
Well,
and sometimes I think everybody worries about this perception of I've got it all together when none of us have it together, right? Yeah. So like my past, I was living in Nashville. I was singing songwriters nights. I had no money. I remember going to the mall and they were paying people to eat pickles to do a survey. And I hate pickles. But I went to the mall.
And what do you have against pickles?
I don't know. It's just
pickles?
I don't know. I don't like.
You like cucumbers?
I don't like cucumbers.
Okay, then
so I think that falls.
Okay, there you go.
So I go to the mall. All right, long story. But I go to the mall because my sister's like, hey, they're paying $5 for pickles. If you taste them, I'm like, oh, I hate pickles, but okay. Go to the mall. And I'm like, hey, you need people to taste pickles. And they're like, yeah, sure, okay, come on back. So I eat all these pickles. And they're like, how was it? And I'm like, okay. I get done. He's like, thanks.
Just so you know, I don't like pickles.
I don't like pickles, but if I had to eat one, that was the one. So then, at the end, he's like, thank you. And I'm like, thank you. And I stand there and he goes, thank you. I'm like, thank you. I said, you're paying $5 for pickles. He goes, oh, no, just women. We had enough surveys for guys. So anyway.
I'm Mrs. Corey Turner.
I had lunch. Yeah, Mrs. Turner. I had lunch. I ate like 10 different styles of pickles. But yeah, so anyway. So
you were full. At least you got something.
Totally full.
We're only
and
paying
a lot
women.
Of crackers. Yeah.
We're only paying women.
They had enough men's surveys on pickles.
Something they could have told you ahead of time.
Yeah, I didn't ask.
Hey, there's fried pickles.
Yeah, I got us chips and queso to start. Is that cool? Well, in a few more minutes, then we'll figure out lunch. Thank you.
So
yeah, so whatever. I didn't. But anyway, so yeah, so it's like I've come from like pretty rough. Oh, what do we got? Look at him. See the speakers on the side on the fenders?
Pretty bike.
Yeah. So but I like to hear those stories
So wait,
because what
is
journey
that the
did you take
worst?
to get there?
Is that the worst thing that you had to do for money? Without getting graphic.
Yeah, I haven't done anything super exciting for money.
Nothing
I've
illegal?
done a lot of jobs. I mean, warehouse jobs and or construction jobs and things like that. I think it's not hard for most people, but it was something that I really despised. Have to eat a pickle, so that was kind of and it's humiliating too at the end to be like, you owe me $5. The guy's like, oh,
And he's like, no, sorry.
no, we don't, But
I shaved my head.
it was
for
at a
6
point
months.
where $5 was a big deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, then $5 went a long way.
Mm-hmm.
I had a thing pop up where it was a survey for shaving cream.
Okay.
And when I got there, I'm like, I can't really grow a beard. I was like, and at the time I was cycling, I was like, well, maybe they'll have me shave my arms,
Right.
to test
Yeah.
the shaving cream or
Legs.
even my legs or whatever.
My legs, whatever.
I get there and they're like, no, we need you to shave your scalp.
Your head.
Yes. So you shave your head. So I shaved my head and I'd already committed, and it was like $500, but it was $500 for 6 months of it.
So you had to keep shaving, just keep
For
yourself as
6
bald
months,
as possible.
and I had to report if I got any like rashes or anything, and they couldn't tell us the brand because some people were like, "Hey, I already am allergic to a particular brand."
Yeah.
Most of the people who were in the like sign up for me,
Okay.
already shaving their heads. You see,
Okay. Yeah.
so they were just trying a new shaving cream brand.
This was a complete lifestyle change for
This
you.
is like and at the time I had hair, or more, and so it was like, and I was like, well, it's only 6 months.
Were you married at the time?
Yeah.
Did you have to have that conversation about, hey, you okay?
It wasn't really bad. It wasn't that bad. I just think it was probably one of the weirdest things I did for $500. Because at 6 months, they write you a check.
$500 is pretty good.
Yeah, but for 6 months,
Yeah,
that was less than $100 a month.
That'd have been a lot of pickles. You sit up all straight. Like why do I slouch? I sit like this all the time. Like if someone gets in my car, I'm like,
I have like,
probably like that.
I don't know, back issues maybe. I don't know.
So,
Thing on you got us chips and salsa.
Yeah. So
I'm really that hungry,
I think
but I do like. I
like
don't
this
know what
place.
this place is. What it would be like on a Friday night or a Saturday night. But I bet it's packed.
I would have to think it's packed.
It's
Like
going to be
arcade and
nicer when the weather starts cooling off.
Yeah.
And it's not 200 degrees. And
What is it today? Like 85 or something? We're in the
Pretty hotter
80s?
than that.
Are we hotter than that?
It's
like
supposed to be
super
record.
comfortable here right now in the shade with the lights.
It's supposed to be record heat, right?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was 113 and
Dude, this weekend was terrible. Soccer games was like 104 or 5.
look, air quality alert,
Okay.
90.
It's 90?
Feels
Okay,
like
so it's
93.
Well, they got enough fans and stuff here. And look at the TVs. 1, 2, 3, 4,
So
5.
92 is the high today. And the 96, Thursday, Friday, 96. And so, anyway.
I see 19 TVs where I'm sitting. Oh, there's probably another one out there, so probably 20.
Upstairs.
Okay. This place has 21 TVs. Still in kind of those, and the big giant one. 21 TVs. Like, there's not a spot you can't go and have a great TV. That's super cool.
Yeah,
This would be great on Sunday.
All right, so I found this
Saturday.
out. So we like to go watch UFC, and we watch it from home. If we go somewhere, you don't have to pay the
Cheaper just the
pay-per-view.
drinks.
It is. So we've gone to Buffalo Wild Wings
Okay.
to
Yeah.
watch. It's
Yeah.
the only place that does it, and it's like, so we go there and it's ended up costing us $100 in food. So like it's actually cheaper to pay the $69.99 at home.
If you take into account like the snacks and stuff we eat at home.
Yeah, because we basically we have to eat anyway, so we're already eating at home, right? So we'll maybe we'll do wings ourselves for like $30,
So it's
Right.
cheaper to stay home.
It's
And
cheaper
pay,
because
and pay the thing.
right? But you don't, and then you don't have to worry about driving home at late at night because it usually ends at midnight, right? So
That
I
is
asked,
true.
there's a place in town where I live. It's a wing place, and it's kind of has lots of TVs. And I was like, hey, what do you think about? Would y'all add pay-per-view for, because they have ESPN Plus? I know this. I said,
Yeah.
y'all have pay-per-view, And the manager said, never.
Really?
I said, never. He goes, it's $2,000 per TV.
Whoa.
Per TV. He goes, to run UFC pay-per-view, for each TV that it's playing on, you have to pay $2,000.
Well, no wonder it costs you $100 to eat. They got to
Yeah.
make up the money.
Right, so the only place in the stinking zip code that does it is Wild Wings, right? And
So
they
this
don't do
place
it at
would
this
be-
one, and so I don't know. Now,
It
they
would
don't
be-
have to play it on every TV, but I was like, well, I told this, like, well, with the people who come and stay to midnight, you might make money. And I said, we're not busy enough. We're not even big enough to sell that much.
But think, this would be like $40,000. More than that, what we see, $50,000.
Well, I just didn't know that they charge. For me, it's $69.
I had no idea.
And we have-
I thought it was like the location had to pay something. I can understand $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000
For the bill,
but
like
for the
one,
for the
per
whole thing.
TV.
No.
That's when you come on here and you see it per TV and like.
So when you go to a place and they're playing that,
they know like see how many
pay
remotes they had,
Mm-hmm.
right? So each remote is tied to a box. So in the business, each TV has its own box, so they know how many TVs it's playing on.
That's crazy.
So they're going to charge you. I said, so if you don't have, and they had a lot of smallerish TVs, they didn't have a big one. So like, they wouldn't be able to play it on just one because everyone would be watching the one.
I had no
I was
idea.
like, but couldn't you mirror it to like, technology's in a way that you could just mirror it, but it maybe would look grainy. I don't know. But I was like, man,
Well, yeah, it's like I could like
yeah, to be a
mirror it from my
restaurant,
phone to that.
to be a restaurant today, it's got to be the hardest thing. If you're competing, especially in Dallas Fort Worth, there's so many varieties.
Yep.
I've been in other markets where the varieties are less,
Yeah.
but I feel like the food quality is higher.
You had like a burger place, a steak place, a
Like,
Mexican
it-
food place.
things are, like there's
right
so
here,
many.
there's so many
So many. So you're
Competition.
competing with competition. It's like, let's say, example, and we have 5 in our family, and we're picky, right? Like
Right.
everyone's got their thing. We're gonna have to pick one.
Yeah.
So majority rules, and so
Absolutely.
so now your competition is, oh, this place has starters, burgers,
They
and
got
then
a
they have
whole bunch of
lifestyle. They have
stuff,
wings, they have pizza.
dude.
They have pizza and burgers here,
fajitas, pizza, chicken fried steak.
but they don't do each one well.
Well, we don't know. Maybe they do them great.
What
But
are the
typically a
odds?
normal place.
What do they do?
Yes.
Right?
Typically a normal place does it all.
Bar food.
Yeah.
But if you go to so this place compared to an actual burger joint, I would say probably like a Five Guys.
Dude, they
is
do
probably
chicken
better
breast
burgers.
teriyaki style.
See,
Dude, that's really good.
I would say if you can appease the masses, it doesn't have to be great food.
Well, not when you have
That's what I'm
40 TVs.
When you
Now,
have
we
5
don't
people
know.
with 5
We don't know. It
different
could
things.
be amazing food, but we're just saying on percentages, right?
Just saying.
Oh, very cool.
Just saying. That's going on.
So I guess what we're saying is the best real estate car is a clean one.
Best real estate car is a clean. And I also think the best restaurants are the one that serves everybody.
I agree.